The tradition of folklore, folktales, jokes, legends, and the like, in the Turkish language is very rich, and is incorporated into everyday life and events. Perhaps the most popular figure in the tradition is Nasreddin, known as Nasreddin Hoca, or Teacher Nasreddin, in Turkish, who is the central character of thousands of jokes. He generally appears as a person who, though seeming somewhat stupid to those who must deal with him, actually proves to have a special wisdom all his own. One day, Nasreddin's neighbor asked him, "Teacher, do you have any 40-year-old vinegar?" "Yes, I do," answered Nasreddin. "Can I have some?" asked the neighbor. "I need some to make an ointment with." "No, you can't have any," answered Nasreddin. "If I gave my 40-year-old vinegar to whoever wanted some, I wouldn't have had it for 40 years, would I?" Similar to the Nasreddin jokes, and arising from a similar religious milieu, are the Bektashi jokes, in which the members of the Bektashi religious order, represented through a character simply named Bektasi, are depicted as having an unusual and unorthodox wisdom, one that often challenges the values of Islam and of society. Another popular element of Turkish folklore is the shadow theatre centered around the two characters of Karagöz and Hacivat, who both represent stock characters. Karagöz, who hails from a small village, is something of a country bumpkin, while Hacivat is a more sophisticated city dweller. Popular legend has it that the two characters are actually based on two real persons who worked for Osman I, the founder of the Ottoman dynasty, in the construction of his palace at Bursa in the early 14th centuries. The two workers supposedly spent much of their time entertaining the other workers, and were so funny and popular that they interfered with work on the palace, and were subsequently put to death. Folklore from the Black Sea region. Vine breaking. In Sazbasi town, near Trabzon, there is a way of testing whether a marriage is propitious. When the new bride enters the house, she is asked to break a vine into 3 pieces, which are then planted in the ground. If they sprout, this means the marriage will be successful. Cutting the shoelace. In the eastern Black Sea region, Giresun, Trabzon, Rize, Artvin, it is believed that there is an invisible lace between the feet of those children who have trouble walking when they're young. A lace is tied, mostly of cotton, between the feet of child, and the lace is cut by the elder child of family or the first to leave the mosque after Friday prayer. It is believed that once the invisible lace has been cut, the child will walk, passing beneath a blackberry tree. In Turkish folklore, Trabzon region, Eksubat town, childless women, cows that don't get pregnant, and children wetting their beds are supposedly cured by passing under a blackberry bush known as avat. West Trabzon. Avat is believed to be a charm herb of paradise. Shown to the moon. In Trabzon and Rize region folklore. Pontic coast of Anatolia. Desperate patients with incurable diseases are said to have been shown to the moon on a wooden shovel. If that continues, I will put you on a shovel and show you to the moon. Ikizdir town. In Sazbas district of Trabzon province, weak and scrawny babies have been shown to the moon on a shovel and said, "Moon, moon, take him, or cure him." In this tradition, which is a sequel to the paganist beliefs before the monotheist religions, moon cures the patient or takes her life. Moon worship is very common among the Caucasian Abkhaz, Svans and Mingrelians. ABS 18. Tying someone. In Black Sea coast of Turkey's folklore, Trabzon, Rize, Giresun, Ordu, Artvin, Samsun. 1. V. To ensure a bridegroom is bewitched and impotent so as to be unable to have sexual intercourse with bride. There are several ways of being tied. A person who wants to impede this marriage, blows into a knots it and puts it on the bride or uses other sorceries. However, it is also deemed a way of being tied if the bride nails, knots or locks a door with a key before the marriage. While going to the house of the bridegroom, way is always changed and the unlooked-for ways are followed to be saved from tie sorceries that could have been buried in the way too. N. To tie the animals such as wolves and bears that harm the flock and named monster, and swine that damages the crop. Generally, an amulet is prepared by a hodwa and buried in the places where the flock grazes or in the corner of sown field. 3. N. To increase the amount and quality of meadow before the haymaking time, Water is brought to the meadows in the plateaus in thin directions from rivers by the arcs. This process is called as to connect water. Tree worship. In Trabzon folklore, the swinging of tree branches and leaves symbolized worship. It is believed that oak trees do not worship God because their leaves do not swing as much as those of other trees. Sakya Sevkit says that Aksuabat society believed in an idol and worshipped a tree called Platana, and that is how the city was given this name. Although the Platana, Platanus orientalis in Latin, was a plain tree, he had confused this tree with the poplar. The words of Lermioglu: today peasants love trees as their children. There were several events which people kill someone for a tree, and a story from 19th century show us that this love comes from very old days. A hunter from Mersin village cut a tree called Grugan which was idol of Akhabat society, since 1940. Then the peasants called the police and said that the hunter cut the Evliya Turkish and Arabic Evliya saint. This event can only be explained with the paganist beliefs comes from Caucasia. At first the police understood that the hunter killed a man called Evliya, saint, but later they saw that the saint was a tree, so they let the hunter go. It was an example of Caucasus culture that can be seen today, which was mixed with Islam in Trabzon under the name of saint and common before one god religions that people used to believe in nature. It is possible to see same things in Hamshin region of Rise. The branches are praying 3 days before and during Bayram, so we do not cut live branches during Bayram. The branches are praying. End of winter. Semra. Semra are 3 fireballs that come from the heavens to warm earth at the end of each winter. Each Semra warms one aspect of the nature. The first Semra falls to air between February 19th-20. The second Semra falls to water between February 26th-27. The third Semra falls to ground between 5 to 6 March.